Prominent South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh has been surrounded by a series of mysterious tragedies this year, starting with the double murder of his wife and son this summer.
You know, I knew something was bad. I ran out. I knew it was really bad.
And are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
This video contains the interview of Alex Murdaugh, who was convicted of murdering his wife and son. In June 2021, Margaret Murdaugh and her son Paul were shot outside of the dog kennels a short distance from their house. Their deaths garnered national coverage, as they were members of a prominent family in South Carolina. Buster, the oldest son of Alex and Margaret, was not at home. Alex was the one to call 911, telling the operator he had just returned home to discover the bodies. Although Alex Murdaugh tried to imply that this was done by outside forces, the investigation quickly focused on him alone. All of the evidence pointed his way, and as more facts came to light, more secrets were discovered. Alex Murdaugh and several accomplices had been stealing money from his clients for years and may have been involved in the death of his housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. After her death, Murdaugh managed to funnel the $4 million of insurance money into his account, leaving her family with nothing. The full motive behind Margaret and Paul's deaths was never uncovered, although investigators believe that it was at least in part for the insurance money.
All right, sir. Alec, I appreciate you coming in today. I understand. I know we got a lot to talk about. You have millions of questions. But before we get started with your questions, this has been going on for over 2 months, and we've done a lot of work.
I know you have.
And I've got some more questions that I need to get clarifications on.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll start with that.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought we were coming here so you can update him on what's going on.
And I intend to do that as
Okay,
we go.
let's do that first.
Okay.
All right, let's do that first.
The update is I'm doing the investigation, and I have some questions that I would like some answers to. And I mean, certainly if I ask the question, if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to answer it.
No, I'm fine with that.
I mean, it's more clarifications of the 2 interviews you've already given me.
I totally understand.
Okay.
Just wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second. All right. I need for you to tell me, are you going to give us information, or are we just here for you to ask questions?
I'm going to give you some information.
Right. Why can't you give us information first?
Some of the information that you're asking about are in my questions. And as we go through, you'll see.
Okay.
I don't mind.
I know you don't, but I can't. I mean, I'm a friend, but I'm also a lawyer, and I like to know what we do. I like to understand what we're talking about.
Murdaugh's lawyer is suspicious about the detective's intentions for bringing in his client. While they claim they will be sharing information, they also have questions, and the lawyer knows that can't mean anything good.
Well,
I need you to answer this question. Are you asking him questions to further your investigation, or are you asking him questions because you think that he's a suspect? I need a straight answer.
I am asking these questions to further my investigation.
All right. Does that mean that you're not asking him these questions as a suspect?
Good. Say.
Because I'm not comfortable with you asking him questions as a suspect when I came here with the thought that you were going to be telling him where you are in the investigation, what it is you've done, seen, uncovered, whatever. That's why we came here.
Well, let me respond to your question. Yeah. It may not be a direct answer that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And I've told Alec this when we first met. Any homicide investigation, mm-hmm. you start with the closest person and or the person who found the deceased. Both cases, that's Alec. Everybody stays in that investigation until we can get them out. And right now, because of the questions that I have that I need explanations for, I cannot get Alec out.
Okay. All right. That's a reasonable statement. I don't have any problem with that statement. That's fine. I don't read it, but everybody in the United States of America has an opinion on this case. And because I know everybody, I know it's a bunch of bullshit. I can't imagine that y'all are going to be asking about nonsense in the internet.
No.
Well,
I mean, just like you, I'm aware of what's out there.
Yeah.
I have not read every article. I don't care to read every article because they're not doing the investigation.
That's right.
I am.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, you know, Alec, if you're comfortable and you feel okay,
Yes.
then that's fine.
Do
But
anything to help.
all right, that's fine.
Although Murdaugh has plenty of secrets that he is desperate to hide, he knows that if he tries to avoid their questions completely, he will look even more suspicious. He is hoping that by cooperating, he will look like a distraught husband and father who is looking for justice. Right now on my Patreon, you can watch the most shocking interrogation you'll ever see by far. What happens in this interrogation room is certainly not suitable for YouTube, and it will leave you completely shocked. Go to patreon.com/StrangerStoriesPlus to watch it, plus many other Patreon exclusive videos.
So I want to go back to Monday morning, and you went to the office.
Okay.
What time did you go to the office? Who was at your house when you left, and what time did you go to the office?
We had been to a ball game that weekend. I don't remember exactly what time. It would have been somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30 probably.
Okay.
10 o'clock maybe at the latest. Something like that.
And when I ask about time, I'm not saying it was
Understand.
5:11 or something like that. I
Totally
need
understand.
ballpark
That's
as close as you can get to it.
And if you need to know exactly when, there would be a keypad that will tell when exactly I went in my office
Okay.
that I can get for you.
Okay.
So
So you have a key fob to get in your office?
a card.
A card?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But, you know, a little bit, you know, it was probably a little bit on the later side of that. I guess I know Maggie got up early to get out of there because she had an appointment in Charleston. I just don't remember if I left right after she did or I piddled around.
Okay. And I already know that Paul stayed at John Marvin's that night, so it was just you and Maggie at the house.
That's correct.
And I know when you were at the office, you were working on motions, and some of those motions you dealt with were for Paul's, the boat accident, or the boat case.
I'm not really doing the legal work.
I understand, but
So-
you know, you're Paul's dad, you're a lawyer, you're definitely going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, so what were those motions? I mean, did it deal with Parker's, or was it the actual boat accident, or?
It was the civil case.
Okay. What time did you leave and get home?
Earlier than normal. I'd say 5:30.
That's when you left the office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What time did Paul get home that night?
Me and Paul got there about the same time.
Okay.
Maybe he was a little bit later than me. or maybe a little bit earlier than me, but it was close to the same time.
And y'all rode around the farm. I believe you said 2 different trucks or 2 different vehicles.
Yes, sir.
What were those 2 different vehicles?
We rode in the white pickup truck, and we rode in the black pickup truck.
In either one of those, did you see any long guns? Take your time.
It's okay.
Did you see any rifles or shotguns?
I don't remember seeing any that day, no. We did have pistols.
Yeah, because I know you said you went target practicing.
Well, not really target practice, just shooting.
Yeah.
We rode around for a couple hours, just looked at everything. All the stuff Paul did on the farm. And,
Murdaugh sobs as he goes over his story, hoping to elicit sympathy.
we just spent, time together. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Hey, you can do this? I can do it. We started out going to look at the sunflowers because he was worried about the sunflowers. That was the first thing we looked at. And then we just rode. We just rode and looked at. I mean, we hadn't done it in a while, but we just rode, talked, and rode, talked.
What you talk about?
Everything, just one of the main things, he'd been having trouble, his feet had swelled up, and we were worried about blood pressure and stress on him, and I mean, he handled all this stuff so amazingly, but I mean, we were just so worried about it. But I mean, we talked about that, we talked about the farm, we just talked about everything.
Has Paul been seeing a doctor for his feet?
No, sir.
So y'all trying to get him to go?
Trying to get him to go.
And he was resistant?
Yeah, he had been resistant, but much less so after his feet swelled up. I mean, he'd been having all kind of little problems, but much less after his feet swelled up.
As parents, I'm sure you and Maggie stayed on him about going. How did he respond to you?
To going out?
No, going to the doctor.
He did.
When y'all talked about it.
He's very resistant. Very, very resistant. I mean, we talked to him about seeing a doctor, about the stresses of everything with the boat wreck. He didn't think he needed to do that. I mean, we tried to watch him really closely. But he was resistant.
What time did Maggie get back home that night?
Later. I'd say probably, best I can tell, a couple hours after us, after we got there.
When you and Paul returned back to the house, was Maggie there?
I can't remember if Maggie came by the shed when Paul and I were up there, or if we met her at the house. But, it's not unusual for her, if we're messing around, for her to swing through up there.
Mm-hmm.
But Maggie wasn't supposed to be coming home. I've since found out she was worried about me, and me worried about my dad. Mm-hmm. And so she came home.
During the time of the shooting, Murdaugh was supposedly staying with his mother, who had advanced Alzheimer's. As far as alibis go, it is pretty weak. He could have easily left his mother's home without anyone knowing.
But Maggie wasn't supposed to be coming home. And I've since found out she was worried about me and me worried about my dad. And so she came home.
Where was she going to stay that night?
At Edison. We were having work done down there. And I wasn't 100%, but it's pretty well she was going to stay at Edison.
So it kind of surprised you that she came back?
That didn't totally surprise me. She'd let me know earlier that she was coming home. But then I found out later why she came home.
She was concerned for you?
Sir.
What time did y'all sit down and eat dinner?
Not too long after that. Blanc had made dinner. And so the three of us ate dinner together.
What was the conversation around the dinner table?
Normal. Regular stuff. I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but...
How was Maggie's appointment in Charleston that day?
I think it had gone good. We didn't really get the chance to talk about it in detail. She's been having a couple of medical issues. I can't even remember which one. It wasn't anything huge. I can't remember exactly which one she went for.
And after dinner, Maggie and Paul went to the kennels, or?
And I don't know exactly how that went. I stayed on the couch and I dozed off. And then I got up.
Did you watch TV that night?
I know the TV was, I believe the TV was on. But I wasn't watching it,
Can we stop right there, please? And I'm not going to ask you to repeat that, but this.
There is a video on Paul's phone of you and him on the farm that night, and you were in khaki pants and a dress shirt. You were playing with a tree.
I don't remember playing with a tree.
Yeah, I guess there was a tree sapling or something that had fallen over or bending over, and you were trying to get it to stand up. But I mean, the question in that is, when I met you that night, you were in shorts and a t-shirt. At what point in that evening did you change clothes?
I'm not sure. It would have been...
Before dinner or after dinner?
No, it would have been... What time of day was that? I would have thought I had already changed.
There's not a time. I want to say it looks to be about dusk. So that would have been 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I guess I changed when I got back to the house.
Murdaugh is unable to be clear on some points, such as the clothes he was wearing and how his wife's doctor's appointment went. While it might be possible to forget about the clothes, it is odd that he wasn't even sure what she went to the doctor for when she supposedly had several health problems.
Earlier when we spoke, and you talked about waking up from your nap and going to check on your mother, and you tried to call Maggie and you tried to call Paul, and then you sent Maggie a text that you were going to check on your mother. You also told me that Maggie didn't normally go with you to check on your mother, but that she might ride that night. Did you go by and check on her?
Go by and check on my mom?
Maggie, before you left to go?
No, I didn't.
With her not responding to you and thinking that she might ride with you, why didn't you?
I don't remember having plans that Maggie was going to ride with me. But maybe she had told me that she was that night. I don't recall that. I don't remember that specifically, but I mean, it wasn't. She didn't normally go with me. I mean, it's not like we had plans that she was going to ride with me, but if she was going,
These are just some maps I pulled off of Google.
okay.
What route did you take from Moselle to your mom's?
I would have gone to the right on Moselle Road, 63, into Barnville, turn left on the road, right before 278, 601, and then in front of the school, turn right. That's how I believe I went.
You said right on Moselle to 63.
No, sir, right on Moselle.
Yeah.
The normal way is right on Moselle to Dobson Road.
Okay.
Dobson Road to 63, 63 into Barnville, left on.
With so many traffic and security cameras, it is almost a certainty that any travel within city limits will be documented.
Whatever the road is that goes to the school. Right. And then either 63 or left on the road that goes down and then on 63.
How often did you go visit your mother that late at night?
I mean, it wasn't infrequent. It wasn't all the time. I mean, visit her, you know, all times a day.
Just checking on her, especially with your dad being sorry.
She had been having a particularly, you know, she's got Alzheimer's really bad, or pretty bad, and she had been particularly agitated. You know, with him not being there, and checked on her more in the days and weeks following my dad's passing than, you know, otherwise, but several times a week, you know, any time.
How long would you say you were at your mom's that night?
45 minutes, an hour.
You then took her back home. Did you make any stops on the way?
On the way there,
On the way to your mom's or on your return trip back home?
stops. No, I didn't go anywhere. I went straight there. I did not. No, sir.
When earlier in the day when you were down at the shed in the kennels with Paul, did y'all discuss any injuries to any dogs?
There's a possibility that the dog was deliberately injured to be used as a reason to lure Paul and Margaret away from the house together.
Did he and I? No, but Rogan Gibson told me about the dog's tail, and somebody saying his leg was broken.
Which one's his dog?
Did he and I? No, but Rogan Gibson told me about the dog's tail, and somebody saying his leg was broken.
Which one's his dog?
It's a chocolate puppy, I think.
Okay. Was the leg broken?
Not that I know of.
I can certainly see why something might be wrong with his tail, because when I was out there, he was chasing his tail and putting it through the fence and trying to grab it.
Yes, sir.
That was puppy energy. When you got back to Moselle, which driveway did you enter?
I went into brick gates.
And Maggie and Paul weren't there. Were there vehicles at the house?
Yes, sir.
How did they get down there that night?
I was hoping you were going to be able to tell me that.
The only thing that I can come up with is that black truck. Is that Buster's old black truck?
Yes, sir.
Does it normally stay down at the farm, or does it stay at the house?
Both.
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 Did Maggie ever walk down there?
Maggie walked down there a lot, but Paul, I mean, had just if you showed me some proof that Paul walked down there that night, I would be surprised, absolutely surprised.
Well, thinking about Paul's health concerns, do you think Maggie could have gotten him to walk that night? Say, come on, let's walk with me this one time.
You know, it's possible, but again, that would be highly, highly unusual. He would have talked her into riding. Been highly unusual for him to walk.
So when you were at the kennels, you were just down there with Paul, and you left and went back to the house for dinner.
You know, I mean, Paul and I were just knocking around up at the shop, the shed, the kennels, and just the whole property. And that was before dinner, yes, sir.
And you didn't go back down there after dinner until you returned trip from visiting your mother?
Yes, sir.
This conversation is critical for both the prosecution and defense. If it can be proven that Murdaugh sent them to the kennels or talked about meeting them there, it will leave little doubt of his guilt.
I've got information that Paul was on the phone and Maggie was heard in the background and you were heard in the background. And that was prior to 9 p.m.
I heard Rogan Gibson ask me if I was up there. He said he thought it was me.
Was it you?
At 9 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
No, sir. Not if my times are right.
Who do you think it could have been?
I have no idea.
And Rogan's been around your family for pretty much all of his life.
Oh, absolutely.
And he recognizes your voice, and you have a distinct voice. Do you think of anybody else that has a voice similar to yours that he may have misinterpreted?
No, sir. I mean, he had told me that he thought I was up there.
Did that surprise you?
Yes, sir.
when you returned back to the kennels, when you returned home from your mom's, where were the dogs?
They were like they were when I didn't put dogs up.
Okay.
So
they weren't running loose?
However they were.
Okay. At one point in the 911 call, you say here, like you're talking to somebody else or something else.
I say here?
Here, yes, sir. So the dispatcher is asking you if they're breathing, and you said no. And she asked did you see anyone else in the area, and you said no. She asked about guns near them, and you said no. And then you kind of stutter and start moving around, and you said here.
Paul and Margaret were lying a short distance from each other. Each had been shot multiple times with a high-powered rifle.
I don't have any memory of saying that. I guess I'd have to listen to it but I don't recall a dog being out. I'm certain that there was not a dog out. There's other things people have told me about that 911 call that I don't remember. I don't know here. Like I was calling a dog.
Calling a dog, talking to somebody else. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir. And that obviously was nobody else out there.
Okay.
And I'm certain that there was not a dog loose. But I don't remember saying anything about Buster would know. Something about threats. I was asked about that later. If I had information about, or if Buster had information about threats that I had said he would know.
Have you learned anything new about any threats against Paul or your family?
Nothing really new, no sir. Outside of things that Randy's told you, or there was just so many things on the internet that just nothing new, no sir.
So during the 911 call, and we also talked about that that night, you returned back to the house to get a shotgun.
Yes, sir.
What door did you enter?
The best that I can remember, I went in the side door, and I went straight to the gun cabinet.
Were you focused on any particular shotgun, or you just grabbed one?
I just grabbed one.
How do you normally load your shotguns? Avid hunters load shotguns special ways, different types of munitions, and I'm just asking you how you load yours.
I normally put it in the chamber and push the button.
What type of shot do you load?
All kinds. I've loaded bird shot, buckshot, slugs, Skeet shot.
At the same time? I mean, would you load like a bird shot and a buck shot in the same load?
Not normally. I mean, normally you're putting in, a load for whatever you're hunting.
Mm-hmm. The reason I'm asking about that, the shot shells that we recovered that night, one was a turkey load, one was a buckshot.
I understood that.
The shotgun that you had with you that night, there was a bird shot and a buckshot. When Jeff went back the next day, I'm not sure which attorney it was, pointed out that there had been a shotgun laying on the pool table.
It is rather surprising that Murdaugh's lawyer hasn't intervened yet. While it is necessary to figure out which weapons Murdaugh owned, it has to be obvious by now that they are looking at him as a suspect.
That he had put away, and pointed out that ammunition that was with that, and it was a buckshot and a bird shot. And then the shotgun that we took for potential comparison, it was also loaded with a bird shot and a buckshot. So I have all of these consistent loads along with what's that in the feed room. I call it the feed room at the kennels. Is that what you call it?
That's
Okay.
good enough.
Okay. If I say feed room, I just want you to know what I'm talking about.
The night I grabbed the shells that I could get my hands on, I don't, I had no idea exactly what I had.
Okay. Also, when we talked, I asked you if it was normal to keep guns down at the kennels, and you said you had to check. Have you been able to check to see what was missing from your collection?
I have. Yes, I know what's missing from what I believe is missing from our guns.
Okay. And what are those?
There's 3 guns that I think are missing.
Okay. And what kind of guns are those?
It would be a Benelli shotgun, a Browning shotgun, and a pump shotgun.
The Benelli and the Browning, are they pump or autos?
The Benelli and the Browning are automatic.
And the pump shotgun, what brand is that?
I believe it's a Remington, but I'm not positive.
Are they like standard brown and black, all black, or camo?
The Benelli is black. The Browning is camo, and the pump is camo.
Would you have those serial numbers recorded anywhere?
I don't have them recorded, but I'm sure. I don't know where the pump shotgun exactly came from, but I should be able to have the Benelli and the Browning.
Okay. Because we don't know if they're stolen or where they are. So I really can't get them entered into NCIC. But
Go ahead.
But I could alert the ATF to where if that gun is run, that there would be an alert on it, and it would get me at least back to the gun and the person that may have had it.
Absolutely.
So if we could work on that and get those as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
You said the Benelli's black, the Browning's camo, and the pump is camo?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The Browning is a brown camo, and the pump is a green camo. And, I understand also that a 300 was used that night. And I know there's been some, I understand John Bedingfield said he only had 2 of those, one of which was lost 3 a long time ago, but I'm telling you, now I am certain that we replaced that gun. All right?
Actually, John knows that he sold Maggie a third gun.
Okay. Okay.
And the story was that she was supposed to let you know that she paid for it for you to go sign the paperwork. And that never occurred.
Okay. So that's why there wasn't a number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, he has the number. He just doesn't have a final sale on the ATF paperwork.
Okay. That was replacing the one that
Paul lost, yes.
That's correct.
And both of those 300s, those serial numbers are with the ATF and flagged in the system. So when they pop up, it'll get you to those.
Okay.
And that's, you know, we've talked about the shot shells. So the cartridge casings were 300 blackout cartridge casings that were found by Maggie. There were also cartridge casings found by your house, by the side door to the gun room, and at the shooting range. There were also cartridge casings found by your house, by the side door to the gun room, and at the shooting range.
Okay.
And the ones by the house and some of the ones found at the shoot range are confirmed matches to the ones found by Maggie.
Okay.
So, which gets another concern. I've got the same load as the shot shells in multiple guns.
They're starting to connect the guns to Murdaugh, and his voice is cautious as he replies. At this point, he believes he can still explain everything in a way that will point the blame to an outside source.
And 300 blackout that match ones found on your property.
So you now believe that those guns, that Paul's guns were used?
Yes.
Okay.
And missing.
And I understand that somebody had seen that gun recently, but, you know, and I'd asked Buster about it. I believe that that gun has been gone since back before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. No one recalls Paul's first 300 going missing around Halloween at a party at Hampton.
Halloween of 2020?
When did y'all?
No, that because that
no,
was
it was
years.
Yeah, it was whatever Christmas he got it. So it was 17. Christmas is 17. So it was the Halloween after in 18 is when Nolan believes it was taken out of Paul's truck. There was and it would take me a while to find those notes, but Mark Williams or Matt Williams is a family friend, and I may have the name wrong, but there was hundreds of people at this Halloween party. Nolan says adults were there, kids were there, and Nolan knows that the gun was in Paul's truck when they got to the party, and when they went to leave the party, it was gone. So that's the timeline on when that gun goes missing.
Okay. I mean, I knew it had been a while.
Mm-hmm. And I think in April of 19 is when
18.
April of 18.
Christmas is 16, January
Okay,
17
okay.
is when they did the
Gotcha.
paperwork.
Gotcha. Another part in the 911 call, you made the comment, I should have known. And the questioning that surrounded, dispatcher's asking, is anybody else supposed to be at the house? And you said, no ma'am, please hurry. And she says, we're getting somebody out there to you. And your next comment was, I should have known. What are you referencing in that statement?
I don't remember saying that, but I guess, all the threats and, I had been convinced that this was something to do with the boat wreck and,
While many people in Murdaugh's profession are subject to threats, none were deemed credible in this case.
all of that.
Paul ever get physical with you? Ever get into a heated argument and get physical?
One time, I mean, a little bit where he wouldn't listen to me.
Did you ever get physical with him?
No, sir.
How about Maggie? Did Paul get physical with Maggie?
No.
Sure, she probably wanted to at times.
I'm sure she wanted to with all of us.
Yeah.
And the one time Paul did that, he had had too much to drink. And it was a very isolated incident.
Where was that? Was that at Moselle or Edisto?
That was at Moselle.
So that was pretty recent?
No, sir. It had been a while.
Paul Murdaugh had a history of making poor choices while intoxicated. Most notable was the February 23, 2019 boating accident that killed his classmate, Mallory Beach.
When you turned Paul over and his cell phone popped out and you picked it up and your statement was something like, I thought about doing something, but then I put it back down. And that was the interview, our first interview. What were your intentions with the phone?
I don't know. I mean, when I went up to him and the phone came out, I don't remember having intentions of doing anything with the phone.
You got anything real quick?
Going back to when y'all ate dinner together after Miss Maggie got home and you and Paul got back from riding around.
Sir.
Can you estimate about how long y'all would have been at the dinner table or ate at the dinner table?
I mean, it wasn't any long drawn out dinner, you know, just.
I mean, just a guess. You said there was conversation at the dinner table, but
15, 20 minutes, however long it takes to. Best guess.
okay. David asked you just earlier about when y'all were riding around the farm, and you said y'all had the pistol in the truck. Y'all had shot a few times, really not target practice, but shot a few times. You said that you had on that day you didn't see any long guns, rifles or shotguns in the vehicle. Prior to that, how long prior to that do you recall seeing guns or any guns in that vehicle?
I mean, Paul always had guns.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was very unusual for Paul not to have guns.
And when you say gun, is it rifles or shotguns or
Everything.
both? Okay.
Yes, sir.
His truck that he normally drove, I believe it was the Platinum, went into the shop that Friday prior to. I think Mark Ball went and got some video from Jimmy Butler's that shows Paul dropping the truck off and not removing anything from it. So basically, he would have taken the rifles out at home. Do you know what he did with those rifles? If he would have put them in a different truck, or if he put them in the house, or? would he have, so the truck that he drove, where was it parked on that Friday? So where would he have swapped everything out?
Not only are they trying to get a timeline of events, but the detectives want the movements of each vehicle. While it is possible that Murdaugh might trip himself up by answering, it is still a question that he could have been inaccurate about, even if he had been innocent.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the truck that he drove on Friday. What truck did he swap out from?
I think when he went to Charleston, Dale said that he helped hook up the boat to one of the white Fords. And I know one's a gas and one's a diesel.
So it wouldn't have been the gas truck going to Charleston. I'm not sure. So this occurred the Friday before everything happened?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure. On Friday, I had gone to stay in the hospital with my dad. I don't believe that I saw Paul. On Friday.
When did y'all go up to Columbia?
On Saturday.
Why didn't Paul go with y'all?
You know, I mean, Paul, he liked to go to sports when there was a crowd, but that wasn't his thing to go. You know.
Is that always how it's always been, or because of the boat incident?
No. I mean, he wasn't into ball as much.
One thing that I'm trying to understand is your timeline. You said you probably went to the office 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you left early around 5 or 5:30. And there's been some other timelines or times that we've talked about and you can't quite remember what the times are or what time of day it was. When the dispatcher asked you when was the last time you saw Maggie or talked to Maggie, you said an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. To me, that's, a set, without thinking about it, you rattled off that time. We're sitting here trying to figure out a timeline and you're having trouble coming up with a specific time.
Oh, man, that's fair.
Tell me again what I said to the dispatcher.
Murdaugh tries to deflect the question and buy himself a few moments to think, but it won't be enough to distract the detective.
You said an hour and a half ago, probably 2 hours.
And what time was that?
That was when you were on the phone, and the 911 call was made at 10:06. So given 2 hours back, that would have been 8.
I mean, I think that's probably about right. And so you believe I'm giving you an inconsistent answer?
No, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it when I'm asking you what time you went to the office that day, what time you got home.
Can I ask you a question? Yes. At this,
You said 5 to 5:30. I've got the card readout from the law firm, and it shows you going in at 5:30.
Going in the door?
Yes, sir. Randy says when he left about 6 o'clock, you were still there. So the times aren't matching up. And I'm just trying to get I'm just trying to get an understanding of why.
I believe I left, so that's not the first time I was at my office that day.
There were several readings, but your card wouldn't work. Somebody actually had to let you in.
Okay.
But I've got your card opening the door at the law firm at 5:30. And then Randy saying when he left at 6, you were still there. I'm trying to understand.
You know, I left the office earlier than I normally do.
What's your normal time to leave?
I mean, it's not unusual for me to be there till dark. You know, I try to get home when Maggie's home, you know, before dark.
She don't like staying out there by herself in the dark.
That's right. So, you know, if it was 5:30 or 6, you know, I don't think I was still there at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But, you know, if I was, it wasn't long after that.
Okay.
So, you know, I believe that I went straight home. So, you know, my car, have y'all been able to get Chevrolet to download my?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
It's a long process.
Well, I mean, I got home early enough for Paul and I to ride the property for a substantial length of time. You know, more than an hour. I thought probably a couple of hours that we were together, but somewhere.
Did you go down the river?
We rode down all the roads. I believe that we rode all over.
Okay.
We rode all over.
Some of your questions, I know you probably have more, but with my questionings, trying to get some things cleared up, have I given you some answers?
Well, I mean, I do know more than I did, for sure. So, yes, I mean, some of those questions have certainly, yes, sir.
The detective has asked questions for an hour, but he still hasn't given Murdaugh the information that was supposedly the reason for the interview.
What other questions do you have then?
I would like to know exactly what happened.
Me too. The best that I've been able to put together.
Tell me, it looks like. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I believe Paul was shot first. For the simple fact of where he was located.
How many times was he shot?
Twice.
I thought he shot Maggie first because I could tell he shot her in the back of the head.
We may honestly never know who was first, but I think it was Paul, for the simple fact he wouldn't have, if he saw his mother getting shot, he wouldn't have run to that feed ring. Unless that's where one of the guns was. But, you know, we've already established family guns were used. And if they came from Paul's truck was at the house. So where were they?
And how did they get down
And
there?
how did they get down there? I mean, it's normal for y'all to leave your keys in the cars. However, if somebody showed up and did this, you're not going to take Paul's truck back to the house and leave the key in it.
I mean, do you,
We've already established family guns were used. And if they came from Paul's truck was at the house. So where were they?
And how did they get down there?
And how did they get down there? I mean, it's normal for y'all to leave your keys in the cars. However, if somebody showed up and did this, you're not going to take Paul's truck back to the house and leave the key in it.
I mean, do you know that the guns were in the truck? I mean, could they have been somewhere else?
They could have been somewhere else. I mean, he didn't have his normal truck.
And I understand that Nolan Tootin believes he saw the gun 3 weeks beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't talked to him, but is he believes it was the one that, not the one that was at the house?
Leaving the weapons unattended and keys in the vehicles were regular habits with the family. This could have been used by Murdaugh to claim that anyone could have had access. Still, for it to have been premeditated, it would have required a knowledge of their habits. And even then, it would have been a risk to pull off.
I think it was a Benelli was his shotgun that he always kept, that Paul always kept with him.
Paul primarily kept, he kept there were one of a couple of Benellis.
Yeah, it was a camo Benelli. Is the last one that Nolan saw.
Okay.
And HDD, some type of 7mm rifle.
Yes, sir.
Do you have that one at home?
Yes, sir. That's what he saw?
That's what he saw.
'Cause I was told by somebody that Nolan saw a 300.
He told me he had not seen a 300 since March after turkey season.
Okay, well, then somebody.
Well, those were the go-to guns, and those were the last ones that he saw.
The
He said he had-
HDD and
And Benelli. He had not seen the 300 since March during turkey season.
he definitely saw it during turkey season.
Yes, sir.
Because there was some point, back when it was missing at Christmas time.
The third one's missing at Christmas time?
Yes, sir. So, anyway, if he saw it in March.
Did y'all get any kind of forensic off of anything that y'all found? Just the rain and the...
I mean, we got plenty of DNA from the scene, but
Yeah.
it's Nolan's, it's Rogan's, it's Alex, it's Paul's, it's Maggie's, it's Buster's.
Everybody's been...
Yeah.
David, can you tell me for sure? Did either one of them live after they were shot first time?
Not long.
Every time the detective asks a pointed question, Murdaugh steals the conversation back to his family and becomes emotional.
What's that?
The shooting happened very quickly. Very quickly.
Is this one person, two persons, three persons?
I got 2 guns. I got 2 different types of ammunition. It's hard to say. It is hard to say.
Maybe neither one of them suffered very long.
A matter of seconds, if that.
Thank you.
Have y'all been able to get anything in Paul's phone that might lead to anybody with beef? Let me ask you this question. Comes from Randy. Alec, I didn't talk to you about this, but
It's okay.
you know, they got a lot of friends in the community. You know, from the upper echelon to the lowest socioeconomic level. They think that they can ask people to keep ears out, you know, loose lips, talking, that kind of stuff, but they don't want to reach out to anybody. Not purpose, unless y'all think it's okay. I'm not talking about paying people to do stuff,
Yeah.
for investigators.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to Randy about this as well. He posed that question to me.
Right.
I'm not going to ask anybody in the law firm or anybody in the family, hey, go out and see what you can find and report back to me.
Sure.
Because then it can be construed as they're working as an agent of the state.
Sure.
And
I understand that completely. You don't even have to
yeah,
explain that.
yeah.
I understand it.
so, I mean, I told Randy, I said, I certainly can't stop you from going out. But I wouldn't ask them what they know and then report back to me. Tell them to call me. Tell them to call the tip line we have still set up. Or if you hear somebody talking about it, encourage them to call. Or give me the name and I'll go call.
Okay. I hear what you're saying.
So David, we don't have not anything substantive that really makes you think, hey, this is a good.
Like I said, the only DNA we have are family and close friends.
There are no other suspects, and it is easy to tell by the way the detective speaks to Murdaugh that it is mainly the presence of the lawyer that prevents him from saying that he sees Murdaugh himself as the prime suspect.
We don't have any fingerprints. We don't have, unfortunately, we don't have any shoe wear or tire wear impressions because it rained that night.
This isn't what Murdaugh wants to hear. One of the main motives for the murders was the life insurance money, which he will not be able to collect if he is found guilty.
The only thing that we can go off of are the cell tower dumps, or I know the FBI was out and they were out on your property on Friday riding around trying to get some cell phone data. Unfortunately, all of that takes time.
And y'all had to send because his vehicle's new, you had to send that off?
Yes, sir.
So it's not like when we hire experts and they come in and just download it.
It's 2021 and they don't have the systems for it yet. Gotcha. But they're creating a system from what I understand.
Okay. Now, I don't know exactly how the OnStar thing works. I know how the control module does, but this is something different, right? Or is it all contained in the same thing?
There are two different systems that we took out.
Yeah.
One is OnStar and the other one is the telemetry system or infotainment center.
Yeah.
And the FBI says there is information there.
Yeah.
They just have to be able to extract it and put it in a report.
Sure. Okay. So you're just waiting for that?
I'm waiting on the search warrant from OnStar.
Okay.
To see what kind of information they can give me.
Good.
You need if us signing something expedites that. I told you we'll get. I don't own the car, but whoever we need to will sign whatever authorization you need.
So you had said that, or maybe Jim told me or something about y'all were able to get in Paul's phone just with a search warrant.
We have a what they call a partial download.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the passcode.
Sure.
We can't do a full extraction.
Do you think so? You know, my thought was that I don't know who's required to authorize Apple to open it.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was that big thing where they weren't going to do it for whatever case. But I thought that if we, I think Maggie owned the phone. I think it was in her name. The account was in her name.
Well, you have to have your own separate iCloud account for each phone, and we've done that for Maggie's, Paul's, and Alex.
Okay.
iCloud accounts.
Yeah.
To see if there's anything in there.
Yeah.
There was nothing in Paul's. I'm still waiting on Maggie's.
Maggie did back hers up and stuff. I know that. So.
Does that mean Paul didn't back his up?
Probably.
But what my thought was, and I don't know if this is even possible, but if we get the estate and we get the personal representative who is now the authorized person to authorize it to be opened. I mean, surrounded by 100 lawyers. We get a probate done like that, and I can have the powers of appointment done in 2 days, and we can authorize whatever it is you need to open.
And that might be beneficial.
So
I think Randy and I, or somebody and I talked about that before.
Yeah, well, and I said I'd do it if any of us could do it.
Murdaugh says that he is willing to give the detectives access to all the information he needs. Given the long history of corruption in Murdaugh's family and his standing in the community, he may be assuming that this could be swept under the rug.
Who would be the representative? Just somebody at the law firm?
Probably one of your brothers, I would think.
Oh, for Maggie and Paul's estate?
Yeah.
Probably me, or
I'm
my brothers, but whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Whoever it is will do whatever y'all need to do to. No, it won't be anybody that'll be uncooperative.
Okay. Well, if y'all would go ahead and start working on that, then we'll reach out to Apple and figure out how we get that accomplished.
All right. Because gotta be something there. Gotta be something there. I can't think of anything else. Have y'all had to track down all the wackos on the internet? Or just only the ones that you think seem a little more, not the opportunity and the inclination,
There's been a few that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But some of the information is just so far-fetched. I talked with one guy. He called in and says, well, I knew that Maggie's son bought a house right around the corner. I'm like, okay, well, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
That Maggie had left her husband some time ago and was going to move to Florida to be closer to her father because the mother was dead. And I'm like, okay, thank you, bye.
So it's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, people that want to get involved.
Yeah.
People that think they have some information. Especially the manner of death. They're all over the place.
Well, y'all been taking a licking in the press about not disclosing stuff, but Jesus Christ, man.
I don't have anything to disclose.
Well, and why are you going to tell the bad guy what you got?
Thank you.
I just don't understand it. Look.
Nobody wants to know more than this man right here and this man right here.
I know.
Everybody else.
I believe that.
Everybody else.
David, how far apart in time would the the shot And did one of them know the other one was dead or had been shot?
I think it's impossible to answer that question.
Ultimately, both deaths occurred so quickly that whoever the second victim was probably had very little time to be aware of anything.
I think it is impossible.
But you certain Paul was shot first?
I believe he was. I'm not certain. I believe he was.
Maggie would have known that then, wouldn't she? You don't know how soon afterwards she was shot?
And it all depends on how many shooters were there. I mean, if we're looking at 2 shooters, it could have happened at the same time. If we're looking at 1 shooter, it would have happened. And I know you can't help but think about it, but don't beat yourself up over getting an answer. It's not going to do anything to you.
When I asked you, now that you talked to me, are you willing to, if some of my family, Maggie's mom and dad or sister, are you willing to talk to them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll meet them where they want to.
It would be easy if you could meet them
At the
closer
house.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I live in Charleston, so it's
Yeah.
nothing for me to shoot up to Somerville and meet with the Brandstetters.
Thank you. I know y'all are doing everything you can. And I don't take any personal offense at asking me these questions. I know you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, I mean, and I hate to give any credence to the media, but with the media keep throwing you in there, then
You gotta ask the questions.
if I can get every bit of evidence possible that's going to exonerate.
When you get my car stuff, that'll help.
Al, you said earlier Maggie didn't like staying out there by herself.
Yes, sir.
Was there any kind of, I know we asked you once before in one of the earlier interviews about cameras, and have y'all talked about doing any kind of camera system out there, stuff getting missing, Maggie talking about stuff getting missing? We're hearing that type of stuff, so.
We never really had problems with stuff missing, but we still talked about getting, cameras and, doing all of that, but we just hadn't done it. We talked about it for a while.
But not really any conversation about stuff up and walking away or getting missing between you and Maggie.
Any conversations between me and Maggie about stuff?
You and
missing?
Maggie or you and Paul, either one, about stuff that had been missing, or had somebody came up and taken from the barn or from the house or anything like that?
Only thing that I can remember being discussed missing was some drills and some Milwaukee tools.
How long ago was that?
Couple of it was since CB got hired, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Because that was one of the things Paul, when he was looking for him, was going to ask CB. And I'd had a boy working out there for just a short period named Matt Luce. That Is that the first time you've heard his name?
The last name, yeah. I've heard that there was Matt.
Matt Luce. I think it's spelled L-U-C-E.
Matt Luce has been used for help around the property, but had no connection with the murders.
And he basically did what CB does now?
No,
or something?
He came in and was, just trying to, because I didn't have anybody working out there, just to kind of keep things from getting totally out of control. And he came in and, he does that for another friend, works with another friend, and he's just kind of coming in to help me, probably I believe he probably would have been there in the late fall, probably, I'm guessing.
Is he from Hampton or Walterboro?
He's from Beaufort, I believe, originally, but he lives up in, he lives between Beaufort and, I'm trying to think of the name of the plantation that my friend Barrett Bowler has. That's who he works for.
Barrett Bowler?
Yeah, Junior.
Yeah, I spell it.
It's Bowler is how it looks.
B-O-U-L-W-A-R-E.
Ken to Tom Bowler,
Tom Bowler. Yes, sir. He was like one of my granddaddy's contemporaries, and now there's a Tom Bowler that's kind of just retired, and they are. I think that's they're kin, but not super close.
How old is Matt? Ish.
I'd say he's 35, like that. Maybe.
Do you still have his number?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have his number in my phone.
Yeah.
I didn't have it, but I can get it.
The pair of guns that you bought for the Christmas presents, they were matching set, correct, other than color. Am I right about that?
Yes, sir. They were exactly the same.
With thermal night vision and stuff like that. The one that you purchased to replace the lost one, did it have any kind of optics on it? Night vision, scope, anything like that?
It doesn't have a night vision scope. And I don't know if Paul had put something on it. He would move scopes around from gun to gun to gun, but I'm not.
I don't know if you had, or we asked, when was the last time that gun had been seen? Do you know of?
I know that we looked for it around the Christmas holidays, or we went to get it around the Christmas holidays. I asked about it around the Christmas holidays.
Of 20, this past Christmas
Yes, sir.
holidays? Okay. And that was the replacement, what I guess we call it.
That's correct.
Okay.
Still trying to figure this out. I cannot exclude the boat incident and those involved. I know that y'all are currently going through the civil portion. How far had that progressed?
The Murdaughs were still dealing with the fallout from Paul's drunken boating accident. The family of Mallory Beach wanted justice, and other survivors of the incident wanted compensation for injuries. Paul's actions were bad enough, but it was discovered that his father and brother may have supplied the alcohol to the underage teens.
I mean, were you all in the talks? Was it breaking down?
Can I say something real quick? I know nothing about the any of that stuff, and he's represented by lawyers in that case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I personally believe he shouldn't be talking about that unless the lawyers he's represented by participate. I don't think it's. I mean, I'm sure that they're happy to do that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that a person should be talking about a pending action like that without their lawyers knowing about it and what. Because I know nothing about it. I'm completely separated from it.
I don't mind. You know, I have insurance companies hire lawyers, and then some of my partners are helping with that also. But it's made some progress. It's still unresolved, but it's not in its initial stages by any means.
Okay. And what I'm getting at with this, it's in progress. I just want to make sure that it's not make sure. Bad word there. Did one party say this and y'all countered or something like that where the other people are pissed off, and now we have somebody out there with more motive because now they're thinking, Paul's going to get away with this. And
I mean, I'm not aware of any of those discussions. The only thing that I am aware of is that I've learned that one of the daddies of one of the kids in the boat wreck went to lengths to, or maybe it was his son, I don't know, but I was told that there are people out there that were being told you can't be friends with Paul and the Murdaughs and with us. You got to choose.
And that was a dad going out telling.
I don't know.
Or
I don't.
It was that dad or that kid going out saying this stuff.
I don't know that. I was told by a person who had been told that. It's Nate Tootin is the boy's name.
Okay.
So
Is that,
you can find out
is
from
that
him.
any kin to Nolan?
It's Nolan's younger brother.
Okay.
It's Nolan's younger brother. So I'm gonna answer this
Yes,
if y'all don't mind. Buster
yeah.
and I have a deal. Buster?
You probably don't get much service in here.
Buster. Buster.
If you go outside, hit that green button on the right.
If you don't have any more questions,
This is the Snapchat video that I'm talking about from Paul's phone. Okay.
It was confirmed that the Snapchat video was taken just 1 hour before Paul's death.
Okay, I tell you what. Yeah, we were laughing about that because he's laughing because I'd gone to great lengths to try to, that tree had gotten knocked over, and I'd gone to great lengths to try to get it to, be upright.
Okay.
And,
Was that night? Because the friends that we talked to said it was posted that night.
I'm not sure.
Somebody's phone on?
Sir?
Somebody's phone on? No, it's somebody's phone. I hear like somebody talking in the background. Okay. Like it was a call that had dropped or something. Anybody from the boat or their family that you've heard or know of any issues with them recently or prior to this incident?
Like any confrontations?
Or them saying anything in the community about the lawsuit or the pending charges, anything that would kind of lead me.
I mean, David, I told you about the, Kenya, tree horn, a month or so, maybe 6 weeks before this happened, called me, just all out of sorts, and told me, I told you about that,
yes, sir.
right?
We've interviewed her, yes, sir.
So, I mean, she said she'd heard it from 2 different places that the family from the boat wreck was, it was over the top that I really didn't, pay it a bunch of attention. And I asked her about it. She said she didn't know who the people were, but she said that it was with a friend. It was at a friend's party. She knew who the friend was and would take y'all to the friend. So, has she talked to you about that?
She's given us very little.
Do you feel like she's being evasive? Because let me tell you what I've tried not to do. I know y'all have to look at me. I've tried to have as little discussions with the people that y'all are interviewing.
Murdaugh repeatedly tries to point suspicion in the direction of the families of Paul's friends who were involved in the boating accident. While there was anger, none of them gave any sign of being a danger to the Murdaughs.
With all this talk about how I fixed this and fixed that with the boat wreck, which is totally untrue, I've tried to not have a lot of conversation with people that, I know y'all need to talk to.
Well, the problem that I encounter, and I think everybody in law enforcement encounters in any investigation, people on the street talk and they run their mouth and they'll talk to friends and they'll talk to families and they'll talk to victims, but when the police show up, they keep their mouth shut.
So she's not talking to you?
She has given us some information.
Okay.
Some information.
So is there a problem with me going to her and, telling me not to do it?
I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
Either way.
I'll get somebody to talk to her. All right? To try to get her to cooperate with you.
Darn, allergies. Excuse me. All right, do you have any more questions that I might be able to answer? And if you can't think of any now, reach out, call me.
I will know. I mean, you've answered a lot of things I had questions about, and I appreciate it.
And I'll call the Branstetters and see if they want to meet. Maybe get Marion up there at the same time so I can just meet with them all together. Does Marion, I know they live on the Walla, does Marion work?
No, she doesn't work. And they're kind of between Wadmalaw and, I mean, they're residents of the state of Florida, but they're here as much as but they're in Greenville a lot right now.
Yeah, because of the grandbaby.
The baby, that's right.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. I just a few more questions.
Okay.
Did you kill Maggie?
No. Did I kill my wife?
Yes, sir.
No, David.
Do you know who did?
No, I do not know who did.
Did you kill Paul?
No, I did not kill Paul.
Do you know who did?
No, sir, I do not know who did. Do you think I killed Maggie?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts
I
take me.
understand that. And you think I killed Paul?
I have to go where the evidence and the facts take me, and I don't have anything that points to anybody else at this time.
So does that mean that I am a suspect?
You were still in, like I told Corey earlier, you were still in this. With everything that we've talked about, with the family guns, the ammunition, nobody else's DNA. I have to put my beliefs aside and go with the facts.
On March 2nd, 2023, Alex Murdaugh was found guilty of the murders of Margaret and Paul Murdaugh and given the maximum penalty of 2 life sentences. The jury also convicted him of 2 counts of possession of a weapon during a violent crime, which carries 5 more years in prison. Murdaugh has been moved into protective custody in a maximum security prison after completing an initial evaluation. He plans to appeal his sentence. And that's where we end this video. If you liked today's video, then drop a line. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can check out my Patreon link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.